go.
Obesity is the #1 killer in the US, but it's widely ignored by the media today, until the release of the Oscar-winning film last year, The Whale. For those of you who haven't seen the film, it depicts a middle-aged man who is morbidly obese and is slowly overeating himself to death. Spoiler alert, the film ends with his demise after he overeats while his daughter is reading her college application essay to him. Now, this may sound like an overdramatic Hollywood film ending, but it's the sad reality for many Americans. It emphasizes the need for nutritional reform so that way we don't cut our lives short by eating unhealthily. I am a student who has studied nutritional science for the past 2 years and has also worked in the cardiovascular field. And today I'm going to be talking to you about how the poor nutritional quality of processed foods has led to an increase in the rate of obesity, an increase in the prevalence of behavioral health disorders, and how we can form healthy nutritional habits to combat these trends. So, to start off, we need to look at when obesity first became a problem in the US. In 2018, Anthony Rogers, a professor in global health, performed a study to determine the cause of the increase in rates of obesity. He found that in 1970s that about 15% of the US population was considered obese, but as time has progressed over the past 50 years, that number has nearly doubled to now a total of 30% of the US population being considered obese. This data is special because it doesn't pertain to one ethnic group or age group, but instead has affected the US population as a whole, showing the gravity of the situation. It was also noted that at the same point in time, a production of sugar-laden foods increased and the average daily physical activity for Americans decreased. This was further backed by a study conducted by the University of California in 2017 that showed that the average per person consumption of sugar per year increased from 4 to 6 pounds in the 1950s to 150 to 170 pounds today. So now that we've talked about some of the implications of the obesity epidemic, we're going to look at how nutrition affects our brain chemistry. What many people don't realize is that the food that we eat directly affects how our brain functions. An article published by Harvard Health in 2022 found that the stomach has over 1 million nerves that send signals to our brain. And our brain's main supply of energy is vitamin B and vitamin D. It uses these vitamins to produce the neurotransmitters serotonin and dopamine, which regulate our mood, emotions, and sleep cycle. So when we don't get enough of these vitamins, we run into some troubles. A study by Penn State University found that deficiencies of these vitamins decrease the production of serotonin and dopamine, which resulted in an increase in the chances of developing behavioral disorders such as depression and anxiety. Think of it this way. The food that we eat is fuel and our bodies are cars. If we don't provide our cars with a good quality food, then we run the risk of running into issues when we take it out on the road. This emphasizes why we need to eat good quality food so that way our body stays healthy. The issue is, today, a lot of the foods that we eat are not super healthy. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, ultra-processed foods make up 60% of our diets. Now, that's an issue because when food is ultra-processed, it is stripped of its key vitamins and nutrients through the process and instead replaced with preservatives, artificial colors, and fats. If we were to return to that car example from earlier, this would be the equivalent of filling a gasoline car with diesel fuel. It would eventually ruin the engine and make it so that the way the car isn't functioning properly. So now that we see the issues with the poor quality of processed food, we're going to look at some actions that can be taken to prevent the continuation of these trends. First off, we need to promote more clarity in food labels. Many of us just look at the side of a food package and don't know how to read the food label. So, by properly teaching people how to read it and look for key factors that make it ultra processed, we can combat that trend. Another thing that we need to work on is the amount of nutrition in doctors' curriculum. According to Stanford Medicine, doctors spend a total of 20 hours studying nutrition over their 10-year education. Clearly, that is not enough content for them to be well versed in it, which makes them unprepared to when they consult patients on how to live healthier lifestyles and preventative treatments. And finally, we need to put more investment into diet tracking apps such as MyFitnessPal. These apps have made it super easy for consumers to log their calories and macronutrients that they're consuming just by taking photos of the foods. And since it's so easy for users, it's the easiest way to promote healthier living. So, to recap, we discussed the implications of the obesity epidemic, how the food that we eat affects our production of neurotransmitters, and extra steps that we can take in order to live healthier lifestyles. By focusing attention in these three areas, we can promote a healthier lifestyle for our children and make sure that they don't live in a world that is overweight and depressed. Thank you.